Well, it's been entirely too long since we worked on the building, but we're back out here again. We've been working on some cars, taking a break from construction.
Like 2 months.
Yeah, like a 2-month break, you know. Yeah. It happens. You gotta clear your mind every once in a while. We've gotten a little bit insane working on this project for like 6 months, just me and you, essentially most of the time.
Yep.
So now it's time to finally build our end walls to make this an actual indoor place instead of something that still has leaves and crap blowing in. When it rains, the edges of the building get wet. It's just no fun. So we're figuring out how to attach a wooden wall built out of 2x6s to a metal building. And that's a unique and interesting thing. So let me show you what we're dealing with. So we've been working on figuring out how to finish out this framing to attach to the steel building, and here's what we've got. It's taken a little longer than we expected, but I think it's gonna work. So what you're dealing with when you are trying to attach to this building is that each of these arches actually has a bit of an angle to deal with. So the edge of the building, we're coming in 1.5 inches, and then we're gonna be attaching these boards to it, but you gotta cut that angle to be able to clear this part of the building. So you got 1.5 inches right here, 1 3/8 inches, and then we're going to use bolts and some metal strapping through these bolt holes to attach it to the actual building, and then obviously you got to contend with this taper here. So each individual board is going to be unique because that angle changes as you go across the building. Fun stuff. Let's see how this works. That's our first piece we're trying right there, and that is the opening of the door. So you see this? We're gonna have an 18-foot wide door on the back, and so that's where that lands, and it goes up there to that hole right there, and that is 13 feet 8 inches. Let's see how we did on our math. So the problem in question is framing metal to a wood structure, and when it's an arched and curved and angled structure like this, it gets really interesting. But as you can see, we figured out to leave a 1.5 inch section that's flat to sit inside that lip, and then cut the angle to match the building, and then use some metal strapping to tie it in. So this right here is the first part of our wall, and that is 1/2 of what is going to support an 18-foot span for our big roll-up door that's sitting over there. So it took a little longer than we anticipated, but now all we got to do is do our 16-inch on center studs all the way down, and then do the exact same thing on the other side. What do you think?
I think it's great.
That's always your comment. Anyway, making progress.
Thousands of tears later.
It is now 3 o'clock in the morning, and this has taken much longer than we could have ever anticipated, but each individual board is a unique angle at the top, so it takes a while to figure out exactly how to fit these boards into this space. Like, you see that? That's a pretty complicated cut right there, and it's tapered on the backside to flow with the actual building. Not the easiest thing in the world, but we've gotten one side of the back wall framed in, so now we just need to mirror that to the other side and frame the overhead section, which is going to be a lot easier because that's mainly going to be big windows. Making progress though. It's looking okay. It's just been a learning curve. Literally, there's a curve there. Yep. So this is often how it goes when you're working on projects. Nothing goes exactly as you think it will, and it ends up taking like 100 times longer than you ever thought possible. But if you persevere and you just put your nose to the grind and make it happen, you get like 1/7 of your project done. Yeah. So this will be a week-long endeavor framing this place in.
6/7 to go.
6/7.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. And just like that, a couple days later, the next wall is done. I've been working on it here and there when I had time. It's been really hot, it's been rainy, but got the other side done. It wasn't exactly a mirror image of the other side, but it's very close. And now we're getting a beam made to go up in there from that side to this side and support our door. Then there's gonna be some windows up there. We might even put some windows over here. And I think I might turn a bit of this wall into a shelf because it's 2x6s. So if you put a bunch of stringers in here, which we still have to add, you could make a good bit of shelf space to store fluids and stuff. We'll see. But we're getting there. The back's most of the way done, waiting on that beam. We should be picking it up on Friday. Then we gotta start figuring out the front wall. We got our supervisor here. I think he approves. The tail is wagging. That's a good sign. Are you a good boy, Moby? Are you a good boy? Yes, you are. So it's another beautifully hot and muggy day here in Georgia. And I don't know if you know this about Quonset huts, but when you're putting them up, you actually put together all the bolts just hand tight so that you can shift things around and line up the holes if you need to. Well, after that's all done, you gotta go back and tighten every single bolt. But after that's all done, you gotta go back and tighten every single bolt. Well, on a 40x60 building, there is about 5,400 of those bolts. So, got Jonathan up there. Let's see if you can see him. See Jonathan up there, he's got an impact and he's helping tighten them from the top while I'm just holding a wrench on the bottom, keeping the nut from spinning. And he's up there because he only weighs 104 pounds. Meanwhile, my 200-pound self is on a ladder inside, sweating like crazy because I don't get the nice breeze through my hair like he does up there. But we're making it happen, one bolt at a time. And if you're wondering how we got Jonathan up there on top of the building, it's really impossible to climb up this side because it's so steep at the bottom. But we had an old deer stand ladder hanging around, so we bent it to match the curve of the building, put some pipe insulation on it to keep it from scratching the actual finish, and that's how we're climbing up. We got it anchored to one of the anchor points for the building, and just climb right up the side of the building, and once you're on top, it's not all that, and once you're on top, the angle isn't that extreme, so you can just walk around no problem. Some redneck ingenuity right there. Alright, so now that we got the back wall almost all the way framed in, we gotta put in a big old beam to span our 18-foot gap. And we're gonna try to do it using pure muscle instead of our brains, because we're idiots. So, we got it set up on the truck, and in theory, we're gonna find a way to get it up there without dying. We'll see how it goes. of the way, but definitely worked up a sweat on that one. We didn't die though!
More of an anxious sweat than anything.
Yeah, it's sketchy. OSHA approved for sure. So it's been a little while since I updated you guys on the progress here at the Quonset hut. We were framing the back wall last time we talked and putting that beam up. Well, since then, we've actually done a lot of work, but it really wasn't interesting enough to film or to update you guys because it was kind of the same thing we were doing back there with the framing, except we did it on the front. And we've made big progress. Check out the front fascia of this building. It looks so killer. So obviously it's not 100% finished yet, but this is kind of what it's gonna look like when it is done, because the front door is going to be all glass. We've scored some Facebook Marketplace finds right there. So it's gonna be a 10 by 11 front door. Then we're gonna have some polycarbonate windows over the top. We have our walk-in door to the right, and we're going to have polycarbonate windows in each of those 3 slots right there. And the wood siding contrasting against the metal building with the black framing separating everything just looks so good. What do you think, Moby? Oh, you got something biting you, you're scratching. But we're also moving on to the back, and it looks drastically different than the front because we're actually sheeting it in corrugated metal. And then over the door is going to be windows. We're gonna have an exhaust fan right there. So plenty of more work to do, but it's not exactly the most exciting stuff to watch. So I'll just show you guys the finished product when we're done. But we're getting there. Sweet, it works. I'm not entirely sure when the last time I gave you guys an update on the shop is, but we're making big moves over here. The entire shop is closed up. We've got the front wall finished with all of the polycarbonate installed, as well as our fancy glass garage door. And in the back, we've got our 18-foot roll-up door, as well as our polycarbonate above it with all of our 10 siding on. So we've been making some progress, but it hasn't been stuff that's necessarily fun to film because all of this was so time-consuming to make happen. But there we go. I know it's kind of jumping around, but the shop kind of has the finished look. We still got to put our sign over here on this side because we've been running this shop off of like 200 feet of extension cord up to the other building on the property up there. And to pass inspection, that's not okay. So we're going to be trenching for power out into the woods where we're going to be putting up a power pole. And while we're at it, we're also going to run a water line into the shop. Anyway, we're making stuff happen over here at Sally's Speed Shop. Moby, what are you doing? What are you doing over there? Sometimes you just gotta go for a ride with your mom.
Squishing my guts out.
And your dog. Moby doesn't even care that she's sitting there. He just wants to hang his head out the window. Absolutely ridiculous. No respect.
Moby! We're gonna fall off.
Don't forget to check us out for daily content on Instagram at Jacob Ross Davis and the shop page at Sally Speed Shop. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you like, what you didn't like, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.